Donald Trump just bought $193 million worth of Ethereum. And I can prove that to you right here in his World Liberty Financial multi-sig wallet. He's got 58,800 Ethereum. Extremely bullish for all of crypto. A lot of people are at maximum pain on Ethereum and PulseChain. Mr. Trump has also been buying wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum and other coins like Aave and Chainlink, millions of dollars worth. Now, what were to happen if, hypothetically speaking, Donald Trump decided to put all $193 million into, let's say, a token like HEX, which is very low liquidity? How high would that coin pump? I'm going to show you guys how to do this very, very quickly. We've got a tool that does this for you. But the reason I'm showing you this is because it helps to realize how little money it takes to pump some of these newer coins like HEX, PulseChain, PulseX. I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum are older. They're heavier objects. That means they have more liquidity, meaning it takes more money to move them. But in crypto, a couple of $1 million goes a long way for the price. Whereas in the traditional markets, a couple $1 million doesn't even make a dent in the S&P 500 because there's so much liquidity there. So the low liquidity of crypto is a gift and a curse. It means there's higher volatility, but that means to the downside and to the upside. Prices can dump harder and pump way harder than traditional stocks or whatever. So what would happen if HEX, which is right now sitting today at about $12 million, okay, of $12 million of buy-side liquidity, and about $840 million for sale. Look at the liquidity pool right here. We're going to use this in the rough calculation, just to show you how much things would pump if, in a perfect world, time stood still, and Donald Trump put all $193 million of ETH into HEX in one single click, and nobody else was adding or subtracting liquidity from the system. Obviously, this is not real life, okay? Because in real life, people are trading, people are adding and removing liquidity. People go in short clips. You know, they don't just single click because they get a lot of slippage that way. So people might spread their buys out. And this video is for whales too. If you're a whale, and you've got your whale buddies, you know, $10 million out there floating around in the real world is not really that much. There's a lot of crypto whales that are sidelined right now. And I want everybody to realize that there's hundreds of millions and actually billions of dollars of stablecoins out there floating around waiting to be deployed. So it doesn't take much. Like a whale and 10 of his whale buddies, if they all got together and said, hey, let's all pull together $10 million each. If there's any whales listening, feel free to do this, right? You call up your buddies, you pull together $10 million each, and you realize that with $100 million of buy pressure, you can pump the crap out of all of these coins. And let me show you on a rough price appreciation simulator. All right, this is Pampy.app, I believe it's called, link below. We choose the ticker symbol of the Richard Hart core coins. Okay, what coin do you want to pump? PulseX, Pulse, INC, or HEX. So imagine you're a whale. Maybe you are a whale. Imagine you just want to pump the crap out of this ecosystem for a laugh. Okay, just because you know that you can create so much FOMO buying and you know that retail and plebs like to buy the tops. But let's say we only want to put, you know, $100 million into HEX. Well, we go to $100 million. All right, and if $100 million was flowing directly into HEX only, remember, the main route to buy HEX involves buying PLS first. Okay, look at this liquidity pool. All the liquidity, all $12 million of buy-side liquidity is mostly in this pool. So we could even visualize that if you wanted to buy this HEX on the market using, let's say, stablecoins. Look at the route right here. The route would be routing through all these stablecoins and trying to calculate the best possible scenario, but you'd be pushing the price up of Pulse along the way to get to the HEX. This is the key ingredient in the PulseChain ecosystem. This is what makes all the coins so pumpable. You need to realize that for the average person, sure, $10 million sounds like a lot. But there's a lot of guys out there with $10 million or more just floating around. There are a lot of whales probably watching right now. Probably watching from the sidelines, waiting to hear about the Richard Hart court case getting dismissed. They're excited about Trump. They're excited about Gary Gensler leaving the SEC. And for all those whales watching, check this out. All right, $100 million going into HEX would pump the price by 135x. So the new price of HEX would be $1.96, which today that's over 100x, right? And look what happens to every other coin too. Because they're all liquidity bonded, this is a great example of if you only bought HEX as the endpoint, you would drag up all these other coins along the way. Because remember, guys, they're all tied together, like you can visualize here in this yield farm. They all are related to each other. So if you only pump HEX, well, you get to drag up INC token, get to drag up PulseX, and you get to drag up PLS along the way. And these coins also go up, 11x. Pretty interesting, right? So this price appreciation simulator, this implies that, you live in a perfect world and nobody's doing anything else. No one else is buying and selling. No one else is adding liquidity. Obviously, it's not real, but it just shows you. Low liquidity coins pump the hardest. Especially when they're hated, especially when they're contrarian, and everyone's just waiting to see what's going to happen. Now, if we want to check the math on this, guys, let's check the math out a little bit, because remember Donald Trump? What if Mr. Donald Trump gives us a little Donald pump, okay, and he puts the $193 million in the ecosystem? Well, if we calculate this, remember this would be Donald putting in all of his Ethereum in one go. Probably not going to happen, but Mr. Trump, if you're watching, you're welcome to do this. 462x in the price of HEX. Oh, and also it would increase everything else by 31x. All the other coins would go up 31x. HEX would go up 462x. Now, I'm not sure how they're doing the math on the back end here. So if you want to know how I did the math from a quick, back of the napkin type of calculation, remember we're working with rounded numbers here. So we're assuming 840 million HEX in the pool and $12 million worth of Pulse on the buy side. Okay. Now, this is less complicated because I think this simulator is probably calculating the actual routes. All right. But if we want to do it on paper, okay, you could still see that you get a crazy high number of returns if you were to add Donald Trump style numbers, which really 193 million for most people, for billionaires out there, this is not that much money. For institutions out there, for companies, 193 million, it's really not that much. So Uniswap V2, which is what PulseX is based on, uses a constant product formula, meaning X times Y will always equal the constant K. So with $12 million on the buy side in USD and 840 million HEX, that's going to equal K. K equals 10,080 million. Now, if we're adding 193 million into the pool in a reckless market pump to the upside, 12 plus 193 is 205 million times Y equals 1080 million. So Y would equal 49.17 million HEX. Then we can go and calculate the price of HEX in US dollars. We would just do X divided by Y to get the price of HEX in dollars. That $205 million divided by 49,170,000 HEX in the other side of the pool would give us a price of $4.17 per HEX. So this back of the napkin math gets us a different number than $6.71 down here. I like these numbers better. But the point is clear, okay? A very pumpable ecosystem, and out of all the coins, you then ask yourself, well, which coin is the most pumpable? So what if we added that same amount of money to only PulseX? Well, PulseX would go up 172x, okay? INC would also go up 157. Very interesting to see the correlation between these, right? What if we only pumped PLS? Well, PLS is the highest liquidity, so I'm guessing that this is going to be the lowest returns. Look, only 31x. If that only went into PLS. So it's more important to go into the lower liquidity coins when it comes to whales pumping the ecosystem. So calling all whales out here, look at the splash that you could possibly make. What if it only goes into INC token? If all this money only went into INC, INC would pump 187x, and then PulseX and all the other ones would be tied up, but PulseX would increase 117x. But then we go to HEX, we do the same calculation. Long story short, guys, HEX has the highest number of X returns for the same amount of money. We didn't change this amount of money over here. 193 million. Remember, this is a perfect utopia. This is just a dream world where Donnie T is buying our bags. Okay? 462x. HEX is the most pumpable. Why? Because it has the lowest liquidity out of all these core coins. PLS has like $70 million in buy-side liquidity. HEX has about, well, we just saw $12 million of buy-side liquidity. So whether it's $4.17, whether it's $6.70, like this price appreciation, I'm going to assume this is more accurate because I'm assuming that they're doing more complicated math on the back end. It doesn't matter. The point is clear. There's whales floating around out there. Let's just ask ChatGPT how many millionaires are out there. Look, in Bitcoin alone, there's somewhere around 20 to 30,000 Bitcoin wallets that hold over $1 million. Thousands and thousands of Bitcoin millionaires out there. In Ethereum, it's estimated about 10,000 to 15,000 guys with over $1 million. Maybe some of those people are paying attention to PulseChain. Maybe some of them are in right now. Maybe some of them got rich through things like HEX. Okay, look at all the other altcoins. ChatGPT is starting to get to know me, right? Talking about BNB, Sol, or HEX. These numbers of millionaires in HEX are likely to be in the thousands. That's pretty cool. I didn't even ask ChatGPT about HEX at all, so they just told me. The number of wallets with more than $1 million. It's probably tens and tens of thousands, guys. Multiple tens. So its best guess is saying that there's about 100,000, anywhere from 100 to 200,000 cryptocurrency addresses that hold over $1 million. Now, it's easier, of course, if these guys are on chain. If they're on Ethereum, all they got to do is use bridge.pulsechain.com and go to app.pulsex.com right over here. They can go ahead and buy all the coins they want. This is app.pulsex.com. And they could always bridge over here, bridge.pulsex.com, and get all that sweet, sweet Ethereum or stablecoin liquidity into the PulseChain network. So I know it might seem like, okay, where are all these whales going to come from? But you also got to realize that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of circles of people that have a lot of money to invest that they could chuck in a couple $1 million into this ecosystem for a laugh. So if we see some of that kind of entertainment happening in this bull cycle, realize that if it flows to stuff like HEX, the numbers will go up very high, and this can benefit everybody. Because all you need to do is light a little bit of a spark, okay? All you need to do is inject a couple $1 million before the retail emotional money, the dumb money, comes buying in and helping to make the top. This happens every time, and this is what it would look like theoretically if some people wanted to make this happen. So, Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., I know you know about Richard Hart. Go ahead and share this video with your father and see what he thinks about this plan. Maybe Barron if you're watching. But in all seriousness, guys, HEX, very pumpable ecosystem. Donald Trump's not the only multimillionaire in crypto out there. Plenty of money to go around, guys. I'm excited for the future. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment. If you found this helpful, remember that's pampy.fun, Pampi.fun. See you on the next video.